as the Pac-12 burns, my friends. Yes, finally, it would appear that we are moving closer and closer to a Pac-12 media rights deal. And by sources we spoke to over the weekend and this morning, it would appear that all 10 members of the Pac-12 have been given a package that is detailing the latest, best television offer that they have. And of course, a media rights deal is large. It is encompassing. It covers a lot of different things. But for certain, the single most important part of the media rights deal is how much of our games are going to be on linear TV versus stream. That is the conundrum in the Pac-12. And we are told today that that is, in fact, the conversation. There was a lot of conversation over the weekend about who's in and who's out, about what will it take to keep these current 10 members together. I am told directly by sources in the conference that that is exactly what the conversation is now. What is it going to take to keep the current 10 members in the conference together with the TV deal that they were all presented with? Jake, I don't see it happening. I think it is a very big ask of George Kliavkoff to keep these 10 current members together.
Yeah, and I think it's almost an impossible ask because of what the value of every member is and how different it is. Again, you can't have, Oregon and Washington getting the same revenue as Oregon State and Washington State, or hell, even Colorado. I mean, you just can't have that situation taking place in a major P5 conference. So to me, I look at this situation and I just say, yeah, that's great that everyone's got the media rights package and, it might be outlined and they've got their PowerPoints where they can see everything and how it's all going to line out. But ultimately, this is just another step in a line of steps that as we take to get closer to the finish line on this situation. And I really think the only question that is left is how many teams will leave. Where are you at once the decisions are made? So the idea that all the schools, the 10 remaining members as it goes, have a package that outlines what the TV deal would look like should they choose to sign a grant of rights, basically is like, all right, here it is, take it or leave it type deal. It's been a year. We've been trying to get this done. This is the best we can do, very clearly. Do you want to be here or do you not want to be here? And if you don't want to be here, it's time to get on with it. So that's why I say I really do believe the only question that is left in this situation is just simply, how many do you lose? Do you only lose, let's say, Oregon, or do you only lose those 4 schools up there? Oregon, Washington, Stanford, and Cal, or what's the dynamic of what you have left? Because once you know what you have left, now we can getting on with the San Diego States and the SMUs or the Tulanes or whoever the hell you're going to try and add to try to keep your P5 status or to try to keep some semblance of a conference together. And that's what I think, that's what the meat of the story is today. Like, hey, they know the deal now. Who's going where? What's going to happen? And that's kind of the bombshell that I think we're all sort of waiting for at this point.
Well, I also think when you talk about these conversations, I think it's fascinating that we've told you for months and months and months now, it's simply a matter of how many games a week are going to be on stream. And I think that is really the debate right now, because I think wholly half of this league does not believe and does not buy into streaming. Not as a tier one, not as your main distribution point. I just think there's half of this league who doesn't buy that. I think there are 3 presidents in this league who don't think any of their games should be on stream, which is a real problem, because I don't have any doubt in my mind, looking and reading the tea leaves, if you will, and looking at the rumors that we're hearing and the people we're talking to, streaming is going to play a significant role in the distribution of Pac-12 athletics. And I also think that's an important thing to point out. We're not just talking about football or basketball. If this league exists, will baseball, softball, will gymnastics, will your non-revenue generating sports be on television in one form or another? I think that's a huge question to ask. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's any guarantees in that. Truly, in the Pac-12, I don't think there are any guarantees that, A, you're going to exist, because if there ever was the embodiment of an existential crisis, tell me the Pac-12 media rights deal isn't that. right? And the battle for survival, that almost the script has been flipped completely, because you look at where the Big 12 has been so many times, and you're losing Texas A&M, losing Texas, losing Oklahoma. We could go back to Missouri abandoning the conference. There's just so many times where we've all said, well, there goes the Big 12. Just another one bites the dust, right? And now, yet here we are, and Nebraska is toiling away in irrelevance in the Big Ten. Does Matt Rule change that? I guess we'll find out, right? You look at the health of the Big 12, compare that to the Pac-12, and it's shocking. But I bring that up for the simple point that I don't want people to sit here and write off the Pac-12, because I'm telling you, it's not over. This conference, I don't believe this conference is dying. I truly don't. With all due respect to Paul Feinbaum, I don't believe that this conference is dying. Will it exist in 10 years? Okay, well, I have no idea. Will it exist in 2 years? Yeah, I do believe. In some form or fashion, I believe that the Pac-12 is going to survive. I don't think that you're going to keep all 10 of these members together with this current incoming deal. I think you're going to lose a good number. Up to half of this conference is going to find a new home a year from now. Because I'd also remind you, what happens on Saturday? I don't know how many people have thought about this. The Big 12 expands on Saturday. When you're adding UCF, BYU, Houston, Cincinnati, that all becomes official on Saturday. Well, and that's when stuff starts getting real. When you start looking at the fact that, hey, BYU's no longer an independent. Cincinnati's no longer, Houston's no longer, UCF's no longer just some enclave out where they have hurricanes and stuff, right? Like, that's not who they are anymore. But you laugh. Yeah. I think UCF is one of those universities joining a conference where the game's changing for them. The game is absolutely changing for them. And I don't know if you are in the Pac-12. How do you look at UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, BYU to a much lesser extent because of their prominence, but how do you look at Cincinnati and say, dude, how is Cincinnati going to be making more money than any of the 10 schools in this conference?
On to Cincinnati.
Like, how is that possible?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's a problem.
So I sit here and I tell you what we heard starting really Saturday afternoon into this morning is that all 10 of these members have gotten a packet that details the latest offer on the Pac-12 media rights deal. They have the information. The conversation now is, hey, how can we stay together? What do we need to do to make it work for, and really it's Oregon and Washington, I think. Because I think a lot of people in this conference are, I don't know, is resign the word? I mean, they're pretty well living with the fact that I think you're going to lose Colorado, and I think Colorado and Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of these schools are just like, yeah, hey, change is coming. I mean, to what degree, we're not quite sure, but, I've had this conversation or that conversation, or I happen to know, Bobby Robbins is, 99% out unless, or like, the guys up at Utah, Mark Harlan and Taylor Randall are 100% in unless. You have different situations, and that's what I think makes the Pac-12 seemingly endless media rights conversations so dynamic, because it's like, okay, at the conference level, you have a situation, but then at the university level, the member institution level, you have, 10 different situations. I mean, truly, you've got 10 different situations based on 10 different philosophies about how something should be done. And that's what I think is so difficult to sort of wrap your hands around if you're George Kliavkoff and you're people like President Schultz at Washington State trying to convey information to the rest of this conference. Like, hey, Kase at Washington doesn't believe in streaming, or doesn't believe in streaming as a tier 1, to be specific. Whereas maybe Taylor Randall, as an example, maybe he believes in it a little more. It's a philosophical conversation that's damn near impossible to have one rubber stamp solution to. And that's why I say, like, I don't think college football's really ever seen anything like this to this scale. Have we seen schools move around conferences? Absolutely. Has realignment always been a conversation for bigger brands who are not happy in their conference? Absolutely. It's why all the ACC schools are all pissed off about UCF getting into the Big 12 and making more money than they're making. That's why they're upset about it. So that's why I say
you say that, not to interrupt you, but you say that. I've heard that repeatedly. That you look at the South Florida Bulls. This is going to be very interesting to see where they end up. They just announced an on-campus stadium, an absolute game changer.
Yeah.
In a college football expansion. It's a must. It is preventing, in my opinion, UConn from joining the Big 10 or the Big 12. They don't have an on-campus football stadium.
Well, you're not a major player if
right?
you don't. I mean, that's just how it works.
It's huge, but you say that about UCF. The ACC schools are not amused at how long they are locked into a crippling grant of rights. And that is not lost on Pac-12 membership. And I think the real risk, if we're talking about a crisis of existence in the Pac-12, if you lose Oregon and or Washington, which I think you're going to lose them both to the Big Ten at some point, when those two are no longer flying the Pac-12 flag, it's over. Because I think those two programs in specific make too much money, bring too much reach, and are too valuable to their fellow membership on the field.
Facts.
Because if you are Oregon State or the Arizona schools, Utah, how many times have you fought to get an Oregon ticket at Utah or at Arizona State?
Yeah.
Or Oregon's a big game coming in.
Yep.
Washington's a big game coming in.
One of those teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Arizona basketball's a big game coming in. But you can sustain a league without Arizona basketball. I don't believe you can sustain a league without Washington and Oregon football.
Well, what's the truth about Oregon in the Pac-12? Oh, yeah, that's right. They're the only one that has gotten into the college football playoff with any type of regularity, right? They're the only one that's done really anything. I mean, I know Utah's won the conference 2 years in a row, Rose Bowl appearances, and that's awesome. And I applaud Utah for doing that. I think if you dive into the story of how both of those Pac-12 conference championships happened, it's pretty incredible, to be honest with you. But when we're talking about conference level realignment and conferences falling apart and everything, the college football playoff has to be a thing for multiple, I would say at least 3 of your teams, for you to be a truly successful conference. Look at the ACC. Clemson was, when Trevor Lawrence, it was Clemson and Trevor Lawrence and Dabo. Hey, Clemson was getting there regularly, right? Because they were good enough. But in the Big Ten, look at the Big Ten. Ohio State and Michigan. Penn State shows up once every 5 years, right? So that conference lives and dies on those two teams. Why is the SEC head and shoulders above anybody and it ain't even close? Because they've had 2 teams every single year. Quite literally, they've had half the college football playoff every single year up until this point. And the Big 12, when Lincoln was there, put Oklahoma in the mix every once in a while. So that's why I say, when you look at the Pac-12, it's no surprise when you struggle in basketball and you're not making tournament appearances and then you're not in the college football playoff. What are we really even talking about?
That's the whole question about Arizona to me.
Yeah.
Arizona basketball, it's a brand, but it ain't Lute Olson brand, right? This isn't the old Arizona basketball powerhouse.
But that's what Sean Miller was supposed to be and didn't live up to it.
And he wasn't. And Jed Fish has done a nice job at Arizona. But is Arizona really a crippling loss to the Pac-12? I don't think it is. It certainly is not what Oregon and Washington would be.
I agree with that.
It's certainly not what USC or UCLA has been. It's just not. And so that's why I say, I think you're going to lose Arizona and Colorado, in my opinion. I think you can still have a conference. I think if you lose Oregon and or Washington, it's over.
Heck, we're out of here.
You can't. And the bigger issue again is, okay, so the Big 12, because I think the Big 12 is an exact example of what the Pac-12 is going through. You lost Missouri. You lost Texas A&M. You lost Nebraska. You're losing Texas and Oklahoma. Right? But you've added a behemoth like BYU. A reach behemoth. Don't give a damn if they win a game. They bring eyeballs to the set. They sell tickets. They bring, like ad dollars, the whole nine. BYU as a business partner is phenomenal, right?
Well said.
Never mind the million views.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that they played big games and they essentially, I think, have never, ever, I could be wrong, there might be one loss to the Pac-12 in football ever. Okay, I'll stop. My point is they play big games, they make you money, and they bring a bunch of people to the yard.
Yep.
That's what you're missing now in the Pac-12. Because, again, the question I ask is, who do you go out and get to fill the gap that's going to be left by Arizona and Colorado? Because I got news for you. San Diego State and SMU don't do that. With all due respect to SMU, because SMU fans, I know we have a huge following in Dallas and really throughout the Metroplex and the state of Texas. We love you guys.
With all due respect.
But I'm not here for Rice and SMU.
Yeah.
I'm here for Tulane. If I'm the Pac-12, I need revenue on multiple fronts. Tulane does that in sports, and they certainly do it in academia.
Yeah.
Tulane's the better fit. And again, I get it. SMU, it's not personal, dude. It's not personal. My feeling is Tulane is a better fit, but I also think that there are multiple presidents, and by the way, one of them I'm told is President Kase. At least that's what I've heard. Does not want to expand past Texas.
Waves in opposition.
And again, if Washington's gone, I don't care who you add. Tulane, Rice, SMU, add them all. You're not going to have a conference.
Well, and I think there's a bit of a trickle-down effect happening here, too, in college football, just in the big picture. I mean, you talk about those teams that left the Big 12 for the SEC, right? A&M, Oklahoma, Texas. Like, you have, these brands that have gone to the SEC. Okay, well, what's that force the Big 12 to do? Okay, well, that forced the Big 12 to go out and get a fresh commissioner who then came in and basically whipped out a Swiss Army knife and did all this great stuff, which secured you a TV deal in multiple events, which then made you more valuable, which has now made you attractive to other teams who are having issues.
But wait, let's not forget about Bob Bowlesby, because I think Bob did a good, not a great job. I think he was a solid commissioner. But what he did is he laid a foundation. He gave Brett Yormark a group of teams that agreed to join the league, right? Mm-hmm. What Bowlesby did. Mm-hmm. And I think you're exactly right. I think you have a guy, Brett Yormark, now who's taken that bounty and he's run with it. And I think his vision to build a basketball business unit, brilliant. You look at what they're going to do at Rucker Park, I think it's absolutely forward-thinking, visionary. I think it's brilliant. But Bob Bowlesby deserves some credit for what happened in the Big 12. Everybody wants to forget about him and just ride with, hey, Brett Yormark. Well, Brett Yormark had nothing to do with this incarnation of expansion. That was already done when he showed up. And I think it's, to your point, I think the thing that he deserves credit for is he took off and ran with it. And I think he has very clearly put the Big 12 on a foundation of revenue generation.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that, Bowlesby deserves a lot of credit, but I just think that, again, yeah, we can assign credit properly. I'm cool with that. I didn't mean any shade by it. Basically, what I'm just saying is that the Big 12 suffered loss and was forced to make change to survive. And I think that change by whoever's hand is forcing the Pac-12 into its position, because if the Big 12 was not in as strong of a position as it is today due to guys like that and guys like Brett and these different people, the Pac-12 would probably have a better chance of surviving. But again, I think this all comes back to the idea that the ACC is locked into this position. So they're just out of the conversation altogether. Imagine how much chaos there would be. Just picture this. Imagine how much chaos there would be if brands like UNC and Virginia and Duke and these big time ACC nameplates were available for realignment, because right now they're not. Maybe that changes, but they're not. So with where we're at now, that's why I think the squeeze is being put on the Pac-12. Obviously, their lack of business acumen has been largely responsible for that position, but I just have to think that if the SEC hadn't taken so much from the Big 12, the Big 12 wouldn't be hankering to get so forward as they are now.
And I'm just telling you, You join a new conference, it does not mean success.
Yeah.
It does not mean wins. And, you look at some of the things we've heard about, like Big Ten expansion, you're not going to walk in there at $100 million a year. Mm-hmm. So let's just look at Oregon and Washington, Stanford, and Cal, because I think those 4 teams will be in the Big Ten. You're probably going to walk in there at a 50% share, which if you're a Big Ten or a Pac-12 school is a windfall for you anyway. And then you're going to have to reach certain benchmarks. You're going to, one person described it to me as achievements.
Yeah.
It's almost like merit badges. Hey, we've been in the league 5 years. Well, that doesn't mean anything. You're still at $50 million because you haven't gone to a New Year's Six Bowl. You haven't gone to a college football playoff. You win from what I understand, you win a college football playoff game in Big Ten expansion anyway. You win a college football playoff game, you're immediately at 100% if you're not already, right? So they're talking about, hey, average this much reach. There's different benchmarks you'll be able to hit in the Big Ten to get yourself more money.
That's how it should be.
To earn your way through. I think somebody like San Diego State, and this is the biggest problem that I have, and I know I've said this 1,000 times on the show, but I'm going to say it again. I look at San Diego State's president, Adela De La Torre, saying, hey, the pro rata we deserve. Well, what do you really deserve? What is it that you really deserve? Mm-hmm. And I am here to tell you I don't believe that they deserve much, because when I look at this letter right here, this is the letter that was written by San Diego State to the Mountain West. And you look at the what was put out there. San Diego State tried to say that the letter they wrote was not, in fact, a withdrawal letter. Yet, if this first paragraph isn't a withdrawal, I don't know what is, because it says effective June 3rd, 2024, or at an agreed upon later date. San Diego State intends to withdraw from the Mountain West Conference.
Don't lie to me.
Well, you just said 4 days from now you intend to withdraw, and then you denied that you asked for financial help, yet what do you have in the next 2 points? Requests for financial help. And what did I tell you? And I think those of you who watched this show last week know this. I told you one of the things that San Diego State was saying in this letter was, hey, we made you a bunch of money on our run to the final, the NCAA final. Why don't you go ahead and keep that, but, kind of give us a rebate on our withdrawal fee, right? Well, I would point you to discuss exit fee. And the line that says our recent participation in the NCAA Division I basketball championship game, unit revenue from which will continue to come to the Mountain West Conference even after San Diego State's exit, and which our athletic director is prepared to discuss details and with regard to the timing of the payout such that a 4-year installment period may be considered. So this letter wasn't made public till today. And if you watched the show last week, we specifically told you that's what they asked for.
Yeah, the issue with this whole situation, if you're Adela De La Torre, is that you think because you had one good season and you made one long run in the tournament and you made your conference money, that then automatically would put you in good faith with Commissioner Tavares, to a point where she'd give you a 4-year installment plan and a lower exit fee. To which I say, you don't understand how exit fees work. You don't understand how pro ratas work. You don't understand that, hey, when you leave the conference, Commissioner Tavares is going to have to renegotiate the TV deal. By the way, are you going to pay the bill for all that lost TV revenue that the conference is going to suffer? No, right? No, you're not. And so when I saw this letter, my first thought was, yeah, she doesn't get it. She doesn't know how any of this works. That I am confident in that based on what is said here, because if you knew how it worked, you wouldn't be asking for installments.
Yeah.
You would have never sent this letter. You would have never said, hey, it's our intention, I think is what the specific word, our intention to leave the conference by June 30th or a date to be set later that's mutually agreed upon.
This letter is to formally notice that San Diego State University intends to resign from the Mountain West Conference effective June 30th, 2024, or at an agreed upon later date.
Everything after that line, and I mean everything, is null and void. It does not matter. You just informed the conference, because remember, who saw this when she sent it out? Every single president in the conference saw it, which is in their protocol when you want to leave the conference.
And by the way, what's the very first line of this letter? Dear Mountain West Conference and all members.
So what do you mean you didn't mean to inform the conference you were leaving?
It's a remarkable letter. It truly is. And when I first heard the contents of that letter, I was stunned. I almost didn't believe it. And then to see this letter this morning come through our email, I was like, I can't believe it.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I cannot believe it. It is stunning to me that J.D. Wicker, the athletic director, and Adela De La Torre, the president at San Diego State University, you know what's stunning to me? It's that they operate with this level of fuck you. You owe us more. We don't owe you anything. That's what this letter smacks of. Mm-hmm. And the attitude, the arrogance, the entitlement that they would want a 4-year payment plan. A 4-year payment plan. A 30-day extension to their notice period. Yeah, we want to do it on our time, and we're going to pay you when it's good for us.
When it's convenient.
Because we made you a bunch of money in the basketball tournament that's going to offset this. Well, no, actually, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't offset anything.
Okay, fuck you.
Yeah, I have my opinion on the value of San Diego State has changed completely. And again, I tell you, San Diego State is really important to the Pac-12. I mean, really important. But boy, you better screw them into the ground and let them know, here's your money, take it or leave it.
Facts.
Because I do not believe, from what I am told, that the Big 12 is altogether interested in San Diego State.
Well, and I still maintain that again, because of the job Brett Yormark has done, not even with, the Rucker Parks and, all the external events that he set up, not even any of that. Just if you look at how in lockstep all the members in his conference are.
Yes.
When you have that much, just seamless business ops happening, why would you go and get this sort of rabid dog of a business entity? Because that's kind of, again, not to piss everyone off, but I kind of feel like that with San Diego State. I kind of feel like, hey, you thought you could play both sides of the fence here. The letter starts with, hey, we intend to leave at June 30th or a later date mutually agreed upon. And then you thought after you dropped a bombshell like that you could request all this help? So if I'm Brett Yormark and I'm BYU and UCF and all the traditional members in the Big 12, why in the hell am I going to add San Diego State when I can go and get a P5, a proper P5 I might add, in Oregon State? Why would I add San Diego State when I can just stay out of the whole mess, add Gonzaga, and go on my way? Why would you do that?
It is the only thing that I can say is it is a shocking misstep. It just is. It is a shocking misstep. And it's not one you expect from an institution the level of San Diego State. By the way, the other thing that nobody wants to talk about is, again, Miss De La Torre, the president at San Diego State. There is actually a real live working pro rata agreement in the Big 12, which you don't qualify for. You don't qualify for it. You are not a P5 member. And I just go backward to when J.D. Wicker said, we're leaving and I don't know where we're going. We're going somewhere.
We're going somewhere.
Well, how's it going to be the Big 12 when ESPN is not going to pay for you? And so you're essentially all in on basketball. But you just built Snapdragon Stadium for football. It just makes no sense.
Well, and I think the other thing with San Diego State, if I was them and I was looking at it from their side of the conversation, even now, even after you've sent this letter and you made that misstep, and hey, maybe you just fumbled that one, if you will. Okay, well, if I'm looking at my options here, I'd rather be in the Big 12, frankly, and I would be okay not having a pro rata because the Big 12 TV deal is so lucrative compared to where we were. Again, San Diego State's at $4 million a year. So go to the Big 12, get your 10 mil a year, 12, 15, whatever that half portion is, or whatever they would agree upon, not a full share, and double or even potentially triple your money.
Yeah,
I mean, it's incredible.
All right, let's get your comments here on the Monty Show. And again, I know I say this every day. You guys, we are so thankful you are here. Without you, we don't have a show. Without you, we couldn't do the things we do. By the way, we will be live on site in Dallas, July 12th and 13th at the Dallas Cowboys golf course. At Big 12 Media Day. Both days at AT&T Stadium. We are going to play golf at the Dallas Cowboys golf course, where club rentals at the Dallas Cowboys golf course are $108. And I'm talking to the lady on the phone today, booking our tee times and stuff. And she's like, oh yeah, club rentals. Yeah. You don't want to travel your clubs. No. $108, but we give you 2 sleeves of balls and you get a premium golf glove. Oh, that makes it so much better. That makes it so much better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. May I have another?
Thank you.
Right? Like $108 to rent clubs. You got to be kidding me. Sounds like I need a buckshot from Bucked Up Energy. Let's go. Hook it up. I tell you every day. You watch me drink one of these every day on the show. Played phenomenal golf, carded a 78 up at Canyons in Park City yesterday. Did I mention that I had 2 buckshots yesterday? Down the hatch, my friends. I love it. This is watermelon. Don't take my word for it. Get in the description of this show below, and let's get you some free samples of buckshot, because it'll change your life. Whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whether you're a busy working dad who's got kids to pick up, or you just need a lift. It's 2:30 in the west. It is 5:30 in the east. Hey, maybe you just have a long night ahead. Maybe you're in school. Maybe you're working 2 jobs. Buckshot is the solution. It gives you long-lasting, clean energy. It gives you a mental lift. You feel better. You have more energy. You think better. Hook it up. Get 6 free buckshot samples sent right to your front door in the description below. I would also remind you, right here, the Buck Bar is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I know so many of you who have commented about how great they taste. They absolutely taste great, and I absolutely love them. I'm telling you, as many of you who watch the show know, I'm working really hard to eat well. I've lost a bunch of weight, and I contribute a lot of the credit to Bucked Up and Buck Bars and Buckshot, because I just feel better. Had a great night of sleep last night again because of Bucked Up energy, because of Bucked Up supplements. They work. I want to hook you up. Get the free samples. You get a Buck Bar sampler pack sent right to your front door in the description below. Get the Buckshot sent right to your front door for free in the description below. But if you need supplements, if you need whey protein isolate, if you need collagen, peptides, or greens, dude, hook it up. Use the promo code Monty to get 20% off your purchase at buckedup.com. Let's get your comments. Where do we start today? Saul Goodman says, so where are you going to get the money, Christophers? What is Christopher saying? Boy, you guys are, the comment section, I can tell you already today, is already feisty. It's pretty remarkable.
So don't even think about messing with me.
You guys are getting after it. Preston was the first one in. C. Kaufman second. Preston says, what's the odds this deal finally gets announced this week? I don't know that a deal will be announced this week because I think they're going to struggle to get a grant of rights.
Yeah.
I think you will hear schools leaving before you will get a grant of rights.
Well, and it feels like to me, and this is just me speculating, but I feel like the loyalty to each other, not necessarily to the Pac-12 itself as a conference, but the loyalty these schools have to each other on a certain level makes me kind of feel like this could be a situation where, hey, okay, we all know what the TV deal is going to be, but we're not going to say anything until the group of 10 knows, okay, you guys are leaving and we're staying. Then we'll announce. And then everyone can kind of be on their way. It kind of feels like maybe, it could get dragged out a little bit while they try to kind of get their ducks in a row. But I don't know. My biggest concern is all these administrators are going to go on leave, and then school gets back in session in August, like late August, and we're still going to be talking about this. That's my single biggest concern.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you describe some of this. I don't know how you. The word is dysfunction. I don't know how you describe some of these comments or the rumors or the constant comments by presidents and athletic directors in this league. I really don't know how you describe it other than dysfunction. Just a rowdy dude from South Carolina. No one in LA cares about San Diego State.
That's just not true.
Yeah, I totally disagree.
That's not true.
Having lived there for more than a decade, San Diego State's incredibly relevant in Los Angeles. It is a destination for students. It is a destination for athletes. Is it USC or UCLA? Well, no, of course not. Of course not. But if you think that no one in LA cares about San Diego State, you're uninformed, is what I would say. I love San Diego State. When I lived there, I had relatives who chose to go there. Like, we had friends, neighbors who went there. Like, it is a real thing there. And I mean, you look at some of the best football players that have come out of there, the Marshall Faulks, the Kirk Morrisons, you have real talent that comes out of there. Right now, I think it's just being mismanaged. The Pac-12 has forever lost Los Angeles market to the Big Ten, who basically prison them in the showers. Okay, well, that feels aggressive.
Right.
I mean, this isn't, that feels aggressive. That does feel aggressive. Christopher Shannon, because Southern California market, bro. Do you guys buy into that? Do you guys believe that Southern California is vital to the Pac-12 survival?
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
I mean, I just don't know how it couldn't be. It's the biggest state in your territory. I think that, Southern California is a gold mine of ad dollars. I think when you start getting in the weeds on the philosophy of marketing agencies that represent brands like Toyota or some of the, the bigger beer brands, let's say, or, whoever you want to point to, those marketing agencies are not loyal to anyone but the client. All they're trying to do is place the ad dollars that the client has in a position to make the client more money so then they continue to get paid. I mean, it's very simple. So the idea that not losing Southern California is just not a big deal is asinine. I just don't know how you come to that conclusion. And I really believe that to the people, because I've seen the narrative around on Twitter and like these different places online where people are like, oh, but they still have, they still have got Seattle and San Francisco and major market. But it's like, yeah, that's cool, dude. But those markets aren't all of a sudden going to pop off and double their production.
But what is San Francisco really? Super expensive.
Yeah.
And you are seeing an exodus of humanity in San Francisco. And I think this truly matters. When you look at the Bay Area has never been less about San Francisco than it is right now.
Yeah.
And I think you look at even the Pac-12 has left San Francisco. The Pac-12 has moved to the East Bay, San Ramon, California. San Francisco is, and I'm trying not to be too over the top, but I don't even think I'm exaggerating. to say that San Francisco is one of the epicenters of commercial real estate implosion in this country. The crisis of office space in this country. When you have the economic heartbeat of San Francisco leaving the city, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And I think that's an excellent point by you, that you're looking at Los Angeles. You don't have that. You don't have that territory. You don't have San Francisco. Yeah, you have the Bay Area. But how long will you have Stanford and Cal?
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at economic areas in the Pac-12 where you are really struggling, and you have a population that is migrating to other places. And that's fucking real, dude. Like, you look at where Cal is. Cal is in Berkeley, right on the other side of the Bay Bridge. Right at the foot of the Bay Bridge is Berkeley. And you look at Stanford. Stanford is essentially. I look at Seattle, and you look at all the office space there. Like, they have real economic issues in the footprint of this conference. So you talk about the need for Southern California. I absolutely think San Diego State is a need for the Pac-12. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But it's not at all a need for the Big 12. The conservatives, the politics, the religion, the belief systems that exist in the Big 12 footprint, San Diego State does not fit into that.
Yeah.
They do not. And by the way, your heartbeat is not in Southern California. Your heartbeat in the Big 12. If you think about who really carries the mail in the Big 12, because you're losing Texas and Oklahoma, but isn't that why Houston was such a pivotal pickup for the Big 12?
Yeah.
Isn't that why Tech now is such a pivotal part of the Big 12? Isn't that why the ascension of Sonny Dykes' TCU is such a big deal for the Big 12? Because the heartbeat of that league, in my opinion, lives in Texas. And with all due respect to what Kansas and K-State are doing, with all due respect, you're going to live and die with what's in the state of Texas.
Absolutely.
I think it is. And I know that a lot of Big 12 people are like, well, we still got Stillwater. Well, I'm telling you right now, all the hats and all the cattle are in Texas.
Yep.
Whether you just need to embrace that.
No, and I think that's why I look at, again, I look at possibilities for expansion for the Big 12 out of the PAC, and I just think there's a lot of value there, man. I mean, I think, Texas is the heartbeat of Big 12 country, but I think you can lessen that impact by adding the Colorados and the Arizonas, and if Utah, in my opinion, got their stuff together, Utah as well, and I think that's why as a conference, you always want to be thinking about how can we expand? How can we get more geographical control? Because the more control you have, the more flexibility you have with TV partners. Because again, like for the Big Ten as an example, Big Ten just picked up the West Coast, the Pacific time zone.
That's right.
And so they now have the ability in a meeting with, NBC or CBS or who the hell ever to say, oh, yeah, you guys aren't real thrilled with that noon kickoff Midwest time. Oh, that's no problem, because what we'll do is we'll roll out a Big Ten after dark Pacific time zone game, and that'll fill your need. So if you think that losing Southern California in the PAC is not a problem or somehow not a big deal,
dude, and
if you think that office space situation is not a problem, go look at the office space crisis happening, man. The idea that the work from home shift that happened during the pandemic absolutely is changing the San Francisco market. There's no question about it. In many markets across the country. So the idea that you've lost Southern California, the idea that you may lose the Stanfords and the Cals and, Northern California, if you will, and you're going to lose Seattle, like, dude, that's a problem, bro. That is a big problem. Panic might be a little strong, but I would be extremely concerned about that. And if you're not, then as a Pac-12 fan, I just don't know what you're looking at with this situation.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, I just it is. And again, I don't want to use all these big words like, oh, it's terrifying. And the economy matters in college athletics.
This is a code 10 abort.
This NIL argument and trying to regulate NIL, and I think you're driving talent away from college basketball left and right by regulating NIL. Because I truly believe that NIL had the ability to save college basketball and to kind of pull out, some of the dilution that had taken place talent-wise in college basketball. You regulate NIL, and it's just going to be a bunch of dudes who are like, yeah, old, rich, white guys trying to take my money.
If it's me you want to talk to, perhaps we can arrange a meet.
Let's go to the NBA and have billionaire white guys instead of millionaire white guys take our money.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because that's really where college basketball is going.
That's what college athletics is.
Yes.
Dude,
that's exactly right.
Bro, if you think that's what basketball is, what do you think football is?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
That's why I'm really excited to get to Big 12 Media Days. Like, I mean, we're 2 weeks away from that right now. We'll be live in Dallas at AT&T Stadium for Big 12 Media Day, July 12th and 13th, thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. I just cannot say enough about the importance of this Big 12 Football Media Days. I think it is hugely important, and the questions, the discussions, the directions. Like Mike Gundy, I think, is one of the most fascinating figures in this league. Because this league needs Mike Gundy to win. I'm a man. This league needs Oklahoma State to be a powerhouse, an absolute linchpin in the middle of this conference.
Yeah.
And there are some real doubts about that. And if TCU truly does fall back a little bit, Sonny Dykes, for those of you who don't know Sonny Dykes, he's just a special human being.
And I wake up in the morning, I piss excellent.
And yeah, he's absolutely a great football coach. There's no doubt about that. Sonny Dykes is one of the best dudes. Just one of the best dudes. Like, you have some really important football people in this league, and they're all going to be in one space. We'll be there live. Thanks to our friends at BladeHQ.com. The best knives, the best outdoor gear. I'm telling you, they give you free shipping. Like, go get it. BladeHQ.com. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show, because they really, from their sale items to their new arrivals, any kind of blade, they have the coolest carabiners. I'm a huge carabiner fan.
Carabiner.
But they have pocket tools and knives and keychains and long blades and short blades and CRKT knives, you name it, they've got them. BladeHQ.com, our presenting sponsor on Big 12 Football Media Days, which we will be live at, and I'm super excited. And if any of our Dallas contingent or our Texas contingent, really, hell, if anybody, has played the Dallas Cowboys golf course, get in the comment section, because we are absolutely going.
Yes.
And we're absolutely going to play them. So I'm excited about that. Brass Balls, what's up, my guy? You're seeing the difference between a president and AD of a G5 school and those of P5 schools like Utah's.
Facts.
Totally agree.
Yep.
And Mark Harlan being on executives throughout the NCAA, like being on the executive baseball committee. You look at Taylor Randall, and I think it's still a story that we've exclusively told you about here on the Monty Show. Taylor Randall has worked diligently behind the scenes of this TV deal to keep the league together.
Hey, guys.
To communicate, to say, hey, calm the waters. Let's talk less. Let's let George do his job. Like, Utah is led by example in this league. They really have. OG Gary, so all in on Apple. That's not the feeling I get. Oddly, there is not, and I think this is the first time that I can say this about the Pac-12. It's not like a sieve of information. It's not like because usually people in this league can't wait to spill their guts. Like, I cannot tell you how many administrators in the Pac-12 have bitched and moaned to us about Apple TV.
What I just said.
And how scared they are about Apple TV. And if I hear one more Pac-12 source talk about MLS and how dreadful the MLS Apple TV partnership has been.
Because it's garbage.
Yet right now, talking to those same people, they're awfully tight-lipped about what their TV deal is.
Uh-huh.
And I can tell you, I was told point blank, it's nowhere near $30 million. All I've heard for the last 3 days is $30 million, $30 million, $30 million. Like, and there's this idea that somehow it's super creative. I don't know, somebody was tweeting about it. Yeah. I can tell you there's not a whole lot of creativity to it. I don't know who came up with that word, but I am not ready to tell you what we know or think and what we've heard, but it's a pretty straightforward deal. And I don't gather, in my opinion, I don't gather it's near $30 million.
Uh-huh.
I do not. Because one of the first things I heard today was Colorado's out. Colorado has been out. They have not changed their position at all. And I want to make sure very clearly, I was told Colorado has not changed their position at all. So we'll see. To me, the creativity thing, anytime you hear stuff like that, with all due respect, I know people are trying to do a job, and anytime you hear somebody saying, well, you know, it's our TV deal is going to be really creative, all you're doing is honest to God, all you're doing is polishing a turd. You're just trying to get the flakes off of it and shoo the flies away.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Explain to me what you mean creative. Explain to me what you mean innovative. Like, what TV deal would you say, man, that's really innovative? Because I can't think of one. Because in the TV business, again, with all due respect, you're not reinventing the wheel, man.
Yeah.
You're not. You're going to be, my opinion remains, it's going to be about $20 million.
Back to the envelope calculations.
You're going to be on stream, and you're going to have a couple of linear games. Couple of ABC, ESPN. And again, I was told USA Network from NBC is absolutely in play. That USA Network is absolutely in play.
Yeah.
It's my phone rings off the hook.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think I just think that it's awfully strange now that we are supposedly at the finish line.
Uh-huh. Finally.
That now details are becoming sparse. And it tells me we really are at the finish line. It tells me a lot of people's questions have been answered. It tells me that, unfortunately, I don't hear a lot of Pac-12 administrators gushing about the upcoming TV deal.
That's out of the window.
And I understand that this has been arduous and difficult, and it has been a painful, at places like Washington State, this has been a painful struggle. And I that's why I hope it's $30 million.
Yeah, well.
I really do.
I just don't see the roadmap to it. I don't see the path.
But I really hope it's $30 million because that keeps this league together. They're all going to make more money. It's going to be a much healthier league at $30 million.
Right.
But I don't know how you get there. And we've tried and we've asked, and I honestly don't know how you get there. I really don't know how you get there. Salty Drunk says, Monty, is there any way we can get more Pac-12 content? I can try. Mark Rucker, creative equals two in the bush. Okay. It's one in the hand. No, don't. Stop. Don't start with the fart stuff. Archer, quick, do the schools get stock options? Maybe.
Yeah, but they're not vested yet, so who cares?
Yeah, and they're never going to vest. Just sign the grant of rights.
No.
Right? Jim Choi, innovative and creative equal loser deal, best spin they could come out with, apparently.
Because it's garbage.
You know. Truck Stop Gumby says, rip Wazoo Athletics.
You ain't even kidding with that, bro.
They're close. I know that they are... Insolvent's an awfully strong word. they're on the brink of insolvency at Washington State.
Yeah.
Athletically. And I think the academics don't want to keep funding. The Nick Rolovich situation, I think was the beginning of the end of that athletic department.
The coronavirus.
And we'll see how long Kurt Schultz survives. But
yeah,
I just don't know. I don't know how you fix it. Again, in the Big 12, it's, hey, Oklahoma State, we need you to win more games. Sonny, can you keep winning games? Hey, Houston, BYU, if you guys could step up and make a bowl game this year, whew. Like all the things you can control, that's what you're trying to turn the knobs on.
Yeah.
At Washington State, you don't control your fate. You don't. You have no control over the yeses and the nos. And because if you don't get a good TV deal, there's a chance you're going to cut a lot of non-revenue generating sports.
That's not what we're about.
Yeah, your pickleball teams, we can't afford rackets. We got rackets for free. Yeah, we can't afford balls either.
It vexes me.
It's just that's where you're at, dude.
Terribly vexed.
Let's see. Saul Goodman says turkey legs.
Okay.
Jeremiah Champion, a new member. Let's go,
baby.
Love it. Nate Simons, a new member.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. I love it. Good to see you guys.
To the program this week.
Appreciate you guys joining the membership. Let's go. Truck Stop Gumby, no more Wazoo cornhole. Yeah. Look, you guys have represented my Wazoo well.
My Wazoo.
But we just, here in Coug Nation, we can't afford beanbags.
You want to explain that?
I had to buy new pickleballs, and so between the balls and the bags, we went with the balls. That's just kind of how it shook out.
If you felt these balls.
So we're going to need you to pack your shit and get out, okay? Got to pay for
Hell
the roll.
no.
Got to pay for the Rolovich. All right, we'll see you guys. Thank you.
Nick Rolacock.
All right, Rolacock coming in.
Hiscock.
Kyle A, a new member.
Hey, let's go.
Let's go, Kyle A. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for becoming a member of the program. Make sure you hit the join button. Helps the show a lot. Riley O'Brien said, dude, you've got to explain this at some point. You keep saying way, by the way.
Yeah, learn how to spell, bro. I love you. But
I
you
don't
gotta,
understand this.
Like, you got to learn how to spell, dude.
I'm guessing this is a joke of some kind, and I have no idea what it means or what it's a reference to. Are you trying to, is that like a whey protein, WHEY? I don't
What do
get
you
it.
bench?
I don't get it.
Do you even live?
Teddy Wayman, the Tile King of Utah, gives us $5 to say, sup, guys, gotta love Trader Danny. You do. And in 60 seconds, we'll talk about that. Maury Alvarez, our favorite Floridian. What about the Wazoo wiffle ball team? They are the bomb. Well, look, guys.
Do you view this season as a failure?
I understand that your pitcher, Calvin, your pitching's been fantastic, but a vital part to being a successful wiffle ball team is the duct tape you put on the bats. And we can't. It's not in the budget. We have got to buy new protractors for the English department.
Stop crying like a little girl.
And
What you want me to say to them?
Rolacock won't put a mask on, so somebody had to sue somebody.
Hiscock.
And you guys, I
Know your role and shut your mouth.
I mean, I've never been to a game because, frankly, nobody cares about you guys on this campus. But it's been a nice run. Now get the fuck out, okay? I'm done with you. but Kirk Schultz, President Schultz, I'll donate the duct tape. No, nobody wants you here, guys. No, nobody wants you here. Okay, goodbye. I mean, that's where. What else? What other club can get cut?
The chess club.
Guys.
Guys.
The boys at Walla Walla State Prison who were making your chess sets, they got paroled. So I have nowhere to go with that. Renee Roca says, yeah, same comments over here. U of U sucks McCluskey.
Sucks McCluskey.
Mayor McCluskey says, yeah, Riley, you're way out of line. Get it? Way like W-A-Y, way out of line. Truck Stop Gumby says Riley O'Brien's the way. See,
Victor's the way.
The way. W-H-E-Y.
Right.
The way. Which is, and oddly, it's funny you say that, because isn't Papa Murphy's calzones, aren't they the way?
At Papa Murphy's, we do more than just pizza. We do calzones.
Papa Murphy's does calzones?
Oh, I think you mean I do the calzones.
And how do you do it, Dad?
How do I do it? How do I do it?
Well, we do it with fresh ingredients and hand-shredded cheese tucked in a scratch-made dough.
That's how, honey.
At Papa Murphy's, we make great pizza.
You don't forget the calzones.
Order now at papamurphys.com.